I work, I'm a doctor and I work in the hospital. I've been working nights for the past 2 weeks. So my days and nights are all mixed. So this is my morning right now. And
Oh no. So what's that like?
it's awesome. I'm finishing my residency in pediatrics. And then I'm going to a 3-year fellowship where I'm going to train in what's called neonatology. So the care of sick infants and premature infants.
Okay. So, and that's tedious work then. You know, if they're like this little alien thing and
The most I've ever taken care of is 400 grams. So that's like 1.5 Coke cans.
are they like, why do they come out like that?
A lot of different ways that happens. Premature labor is one of them. There's a lot of risk factors in the U.S. that would lead a mom to go into labor early, and unfortunately they come out. But our technology, like these kids just used to die like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Like it happened and no one knew about it because they just died. But because technology has gotten so much better and we put them on a ventilator with a teeny tiny tube in their mouth, and we can give them nutrition through their veins, then they end up growing and living. So it's pretty remarkable.
I'm gonna have to book a meeting with you.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right, dude. So here, we'll jump right in. I'll let you kind of lead. I mean, what do you mainly want to go over? What are you struggling with? Maybe a story, anything.
Perfect. Okay. So I gave you a little bit of background. I'm still considered a medical trainee, so I won't be an attending physician for 3 more years, which means that I'm making like $50,000-$60,000 a year. And my wife has a job, but we're kind of living paycheck to paycheck in a sense. And I want to get into the real estate game overall. And I see this wholesaling after watching it on YouTube and Instagram for a while as a great way to kind of jump into it, or at least gain some capital, if not make it kind of the primary entrance. And so I'm trying to learn how I can get into it now, start making cash to hopefully buy a portfolio someday and or just continue wholesaling. I've been in the community about a week. I think I'm pretty good with PropStream. I have the subscription. I think I've used BuyBox several times, and I probably called, 5 or 6 different agents, one of which I've gotten good feedback from, and then they've just kind of ghosted. So I'm hoping to help me kind of develop a game plan, if possible, like a step-by-step guide of like, how many a week should I be doing? Is my workflow what you would consider correct? And then I have just like some questions thereafter. But I'm trying to see if you can help me kind of get over the line for my first several deals.
Dude, 100%. So I got you right now. We'll do like a 30-day game plan, right?
I love it.
So you could always send your deals to the group, but let's just say you're starting as a fresh wholesaler, because eventually when you scale out, because what I would do if I were you is, dude, take these you could do it in a year. Scale a company, and then it becomes pretty much automated. And then, dude, when you go and become what you're doing with the babies, you have this running in the background. So what I would do is, first step, I would try and find, let's just say from a 30-day standpoint, let's say first week, I'm going to Facebook, I'm joining 50 different investment groups. Every single post in that investment group that is a house, that people are trying to sell, and that there are people commenting on that saying, hey, send me the information, here's my email. You're going to go ahead and DM each one of those people. And, you say, hey, I'm looking in the area as well. We do a bunch of business here. I saw you commented on this post. Love to work together. What are you looking for? And you spam that. Let's just say you do that for 3 days. Right now we're at 27 days. Or we'll do 4 weeks, right? So we'll do three days of the first week. Then the next 4 days of that week, what I would do is I would see the results that you got back. I would call each one of these buyers, right? Because this is going to be part of the vetting process of making sure that they're a good buyer or not. Because as soon as you get on the phone, you can tell if someone's bullshitter. Yeah. So I would be getting on the phone, talking to them about what they're doing, how they work, and you could tell if you want to work with a person or not. Then you're going to be collecting their criteria as you go. I would say the last 2 days of the vetting process, which would be the last 2 days of the week, is after you vet down to maybe the top 10 to 20 that you like, I would start doing lead generation for that criteria to see, okay, this criteria is worth my time. This criteria I can't find houses with. This criteria is really good. And then when you find that perfect culmination of this guy is super easy to work with, he gives a good vibe, he seems credible, and his criteria is pretty much no competition and it's easy to source, that's what you do. And then you vet it down to maybe the top 3 to 5 buyers that meet that. Then from there, so that would be the first week. Second week would be putting systems in place, right? So I would start off with just by yourself. And what I would do is that next week, I would be doing generation and calling, right? So let's just say the way I used to do it was look for a house. This meets the criteria. Call it and then repeat, right? You can do it where it's like, or sometimes maybe you're just chilling at night, you put some music on, do like 30 minutes of lead generation, and then you have the houses for tomorrow. But that next week, so week 2 would be just straight lead generation calling. Then also side note, especially for the field that you're in, dude, I would 100% leverage buyer's agents, because you can essentially just give them the criteria that your buyers are looking for. Not only do they do lead generation for you, but also while you're doing your own lead generation, you can just send them address, price, and they can just go after it. And they're doing it for you, they're negotiating, and then the most you'll get is maybe like, hey Nick, we got a counter here, or hey Nick, we got an offer accepted here, what do you want to do? And then all you do is, cool, you just take it, give it right to the buyer. You're in the deal maybe 5 minutes, right? So that is huge. And they're free, because the seller pays their commission and you pay, well, not you, but the buyer pays closing costs, and they're trained. So you have an entire front end acquisitions for absolutely free that work for you while you're doing your work. That is something I'd 100% leverage. But let's just say that's all together in week 2.
Yeah.
Now, by the end of week 2, I mean, you're going to have properties that are gaining traction that you are going to move forward with. And week 3, so end of week 2, beginning of week 3 is when you're going to want to get, maybe you get your first or second deal under contract, and you would start dispoing them, right? So before week 3 starts, you're going to send it to your buyers. And then throughout week 3 should be the inspection period, right? Because you do the 7-day inspection period as soon as the contract goes executed. And that would be the buyers telling you, hey, this is good. Hey, this is bad. That would be the trial period. And let's just say, hey, we like it. Then week 3 would be them walking the property. And then week 4 would be them giving you the final decision, submitting earnest money deposit, and you guys moving forward. And then maybe you close like 2 or 3 weeks later. That would be the ultimate 30-day plan, 100%.
All right. That sounds amazing. A couple follow-ups. So so this is still using Buy Box Cartel. It's the same process, or would you be?
Yeah, this would be all you, right? Obviously, you can still use Rich and Chris and whatnot, but I want to give you that blueprint just because eventually you're going to have to. If you want to scale, you're gonna have to get your own buyers. So, but yeah, that's you.
So can you tell me about, so I think the process, so I kind of understand the general workflow in my head, and then hearing you talk through this month has also helped solidify it. What, I know nothing about is that period of which you get people to agree to your offer, and then you have to generate a contract, and then you have to do all the paperwork and stuff. So how would you go about doing that?
Gotcha. So let's say that let's start with the easiest. Let's say it's a cash deal. Cash or a lump sum, right? You would just have the realtor do all the contracts, right? I will say, if you need to, I would have the realtors do all the contracts, all the addendums, whatever, on market. If you're doing off market, which is like a whole nother ball game, it's not hard, but it's just a different, once you master on market, then you branch to off market, you'd have to have your own contracts, but it's super easy. I could teach you that once you branch to off market. But on market cash, realtors do your contracts. On market, if your buyers are buying creative, then you can, what everyone does, you hire a creative TC, and it's no money out of your pocket. The only thing that they'll charge is, like, as soon as you close the deal, they'll charge maybe like a $950 TC fee, which usually we charge the buyer. So yeah, we don't do any of our own contracts with creative. It's just too complicated, and it's just too much. I mean, she's calling mortgages, she's calling insurance.
Yeah. Okay. And so you, how do you find someone like that? You just Google it, or you guys have people that and you hire them, or?
Yeah, so I'll tell you this, and this is a base rule. There is nothing stronger than your network in real estate. But as for us finding it, I mean, once you get to the point where, like, you're in that circle, you already are. You're in a great circle right now where you can just reach out. Hey, who has a creative transactions coordinator they know? Or you could just use Lexi, RTC, and she TCs creative deals if I do a creative deal.
Really? Wow. Okay. So she would take care of the contracts, all the stuff on the back end, and then she's charged a fee at the end, and then that fee you're saying is rolled into the buyer's cost.
Exactly. I will say this: some TCs charge an upfront for their work. It'll be maybe like 30% of the total. So, if you wouldn't really need to get into the TC space until you already know, okay, the buyer likes it, we're moving forward. Yeah. Then it's, so like, let's just say they're charging $1,000, we'll make it even. Maybe they charge $300 up front. But like I said before, if that's the case, you already know you're moving forward with the deal. So
yeah, it's going to happen. Okay. So can I teach back kind of what you said, just to make sure I understand kind of the process?
Yeah.
Okay. So week 1, you primarily are looking for these connections through Facebook, and you're joining different groups. And are these in like any smattering of cities, just wherever you think?
I would join all 50 states.
Okay.
I mean, there are going to be hotter markets than others, but also, like I said, I mean, if you find a dude, because anyone could say, oh yeah, hottest markets are, because I get this question all the time, what are the hottest markets? Anyone could say Texas, Florida. Yeah. But what happens if I find a guy buys in the middle of Nebraska, but his criteria is super easy to source? I am not doing Florida. I'm going to Nebraska. So yeah, that I would go that route 100%.
Okay, cool. And so you would just put in Facebook like real estate groups, or you just use any combination of like?
I would do, like, for example, I live in New York real estate investing. Okay. And then you join the one that has, you could see the most posts per day, activity, members. Yeah.
Cool. So I get that. Posting in the group. So seeing who posts houses in the group and then seeing the people that are commenting on that, because those would be the buyers who are interested in that house.
Exactly.
So then DM directly the buyers and saying, hey, I'm also, looking in this area. We'd love to work together. I saw your comment on the post. And then you start to get to know them. And so then you're saying, call those buyers directly to get to know them, see if you could work with them or not, see what they do, and then collect their buying criteria.
Exactly.
And then you are vetting some through, you figure out which ones would be good. Essentially, you're generating buyer leads at that point. And then you have a good set, you said 3 or 5, maybe by the end of that first week, that you can go ahead and rely on. So when you're finding properties in week 2, you're sending them to those buyers. And would you send every property to all of them? It's just like
No, so it would be dependent on their criteria, right? So
only the ones that fit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But what I would say too is the reason why I want to teach it to you this way is because, dude, too many wholesalers will literally just lock up a property they think looks pretty and not know why it's a good deal and just throw it into a group. Yeah. So what you want to do is, it's almost called like reverse wholesaling, where you're actually structuring your own lead generation off of your buyer's criteria. That way, when you lock it up, it sells.
Yeah. And then we mentioned in week 2 also leveraging buyer's agents. So now that we know buyer's criteria, we would find like just general real estate agents in that area and talk to them and give them that criteria back. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, so what you can do, the best way to find buyer's agents, there's two main ways. Number one, you could literally just look up buyer's agents in the area. But the way I like to do it is you're going to be cold calling, in the beginning anyway. So what I'll do, and I'll explain a little bit of this as well, is I'll get on the phone and, we're talking whatever, and I'll say, hey, listen, besides this property, we're doing a ton of volume in Memphis. We're looking for a buyer's agent-esque relationship that we can kind of leverage. I mean, we have a pretty busy week. You could even tell them what you do and just say it'd be awesome if we could just work through you with all of our deals and you represent us and you negotiate. And what that does is 2 things. Number one, you've already built rapport with that person. Number 2, and this is something we could dive into as well, is on phone calls. One of the best strategies is almost like going into different caveats of just random. So like if I'm on the phone about 123 Main Street in Memphis, I'll be talking to them and I'll say, by the way, aside from this deal, do you guys know any good property managers out here? We just had to fire the last one. And what that does is builds your credibility. So you can be going down the path of the deal, split, come back, split, come back. And what it does, every time you split, you grab some credibility and bring it to the table.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's that. You can say, sometimes I'll even tell them, I'll say, hey, we're doing a deal on, Midway Avenue. We're working with this realtor. Do you know them? Have you worked with them? I mean, they work pretty well, but we're looking to maybe work with them in the future. What are your thoughts? Just things that build your credibility, right? Just small caveats. And that's a huge strategy because, dude, I cannot tell you enough how many people get on the phone. It's like, hey, we're investors in the area. We like the house. Have a conversation with them. If it works, it doesn't. And build your credibility. And like I said, when you take a detour into, property management or we're working with this person or whatever, and then come back, I can't even tell you, it works wonders.
Wow. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I would never know until someone told me that kind of shit, All right. And so at that point, you're getting some traction. So you're finding your own leads on properties and calling them to see if they'll fit with your buyer. Then you're also chatting with buyer's agents, who essentially is going to do a lot of that work for you if you establish good relationships with them. And so now we're gaining traction. And so then you're saying in week 3, you might have 1 or 2 deals that at that point you've talked to them and they've gone through, and you can start thinking about connecting the buyers with the transaction coordinator.
Exactly.
Okay. And then week 4, it sounds like by the time you connect them, then things kind of happen just on their own with the coordinator, right? And the week 4, EMD, finish the process. You're kind of a little bit more hands-off during that.
Exactly, right? So as for like getting the deal, that would be the 30-day. And then as for just nurturing the deal, let's say you're not using a transactions coordinator, it would be taking, and I don't think Chris and Rich have a contract pack, but I mean, you can go to I don't know if you know Jerry Norton, but he has contract packs, Pace Morby everyone has contract packs. Simple, you could use any of them. And then you could upload them to DocuSign and whatnot, put the signature spots. I think DocuSign's like $20 a month or something. But yeah, long story short, what would happen is, cool, you get a property under contract, you assign it to your buyer using an assignment agreement, or you can do what's called a double close, which I don't know if you're familiar with it, but essentially a double close is where you actually purchase the property and resell it simultaneously. So it's really cool. You actually get to own a property for about 30 seconds and then, it resells. But it's completely secure because, and I could hook you up with a lender that does that, a transactional lender. completely secure because they don't actually fund the first transaction until the buyer's funds are in escrow and they can't take them back.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of doing one versus the other? Like, why would one do just a assignment contract or a double close?
Yep. So for two reasons. Number one, sometimes in some states they require a seller to sign a wholesaling affidavit to use an assignment agreement. And so then you would just double close, right? Because double closing is essentially you're just buying the property. I don't care if you resell it in 30 seconds, you resell it in 30 years. You're buying the property and doing what you want with it. So that's huge. Double close doesn't leak as much to the seller, right? Because assignments, sometimes the title will notify the seller of like a name change. Like, for example, like in Illinois, I think you can only do one assignment of contract per year. So you can just double close to get around that. Also, if you don't want your buyer to know how much the assignment is, because as much as you can do a thing called a blind HUD where the buyer doesn't see your assignment fee. But if they really look and they ask the title for all the closing docs and whatnot, they're going to see it. So that's good too. I double close all my deals because I do a ton of cash right now. So it's just easier in my opinion.
Yeah, this all sounds like really awesome, especially thinking through when you're like doing it yourself. I think there are so many moving parts that I think for the first several times I do it, I wouldn't be able to keep it all straight while I'm learning it. You know what I'm saying? And so in that case, you would use a TC instead of doing it yourself. So
yeah, 100%. So as for like I said, if you're doing a creative deal, TC every time. If you're doing
okay, we're just talking about cash at this point. Okay.
Yeah, if you're doing cash, yeah, it's super easy, dude. Honestly, yeah, you take the documents, you send them to the title company, and you just do what they ask you to do, and that's it.
Okay, awesome. So this sounds like a great game plan. So you'd suggest me doing something like this, let's say for the next 30 days, and so essentially I'm not using buy box a whole lot. I'm kind of like stepping away from that.
Well, yeah. So, and not to push you away from them by any means, but it's just like if I'm going to give you a 30-day plan because my goal is for you to be as successful as possible. I think that because buy box is great, creative is great, but it's extremely saturated. There's over 9,000 people looking for the same criteria.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to. I hold myself on integrity, so I wouldn't be able to confidently sit in this meeting and tell you, hey, that's the best way to go. I'm going to tell you what to do, and that's what to do for sure.
All right, that sounds like a great plan. I think I'll probably do it and then check in with you along the way and be like, hey, this is what's going on, and kind of just some guidance, that kind of thing. But what are student success rates processes like this?
I mean, I wouldn't really know. I think honestly it would all be effort based, but yeah. I mean, I'm seeing just from like the back end of Chris and Rich's stuff, they're getting a lot of deals.
Do you have your own process like this? Like, I assume you've set this up, so you have your own.
Yeah, I have my own company because what happened was when I joined as a student, but then within like the first week I was on their team, and then I obviously grew out of that. So they've been my mentors for a while, but now we're kind of all associates.
Ideally, you do kind of what you're doing is you've set this up, and then like you said, once I'm working a little down the line, like it's automated. So essentially, you create what Richard has done, you automate it, and then you have people.
Yeah. So exactly, and I'm in the process of that right now. Main reason with me is that, and this is. Every entrepreneur goes through this, but it's more of like trusting people to get it done right. And it just sucks, man, because I know in my head things are going to go wrong, and that's fine. But yeah, that's kind of my internal struggle. But yeah, I'm scaling right now, hiring on like 2 employees probably this week. But essentially the way you would scale that is you have a VA, virtual assistant, you could hire from the Philippines, pay them like $4 an hour. And also, by the way, $4 an hour for them is like, it's a lot. Like when we talk to the VAs in the Zooms and whatnot, that's like a lot in US terms, right? One of our VAs right now, we like calculated, because we give them bonuses as well, we calculated how much that is on an impact perspective. It's like the guy's making 22 grand a month. Like if you were, it's crazy. So but yeah, so you hire from the Philippines, you start at $4 an hour, and then you're gonna obviously give them bonuses and raises through milestones. I could even you could copy my exact bonus structure, Chris's exact bonus structure. Long story short, hire a VA for lead generation, and that will, they're gonna be bringing in leads. That's all they're gonna do every day for 8 hours a day, is just scrape the market on and off market. Once you master on market, you go to off market as well, of the leads that your buyers will buy. Now, those leads then get funneled into acquisitions. Let's say you hire on 3 acquisitions managers. You pay them commission based. And guess where you're going to hire them from? The group, right? Because that's a huge network. Then you have them commission based. Maybe you give them 30 or 40% of each deal. Then once they're closing deals, that is funneled to I would hire a VA as a transactions coordinator, or you could hire just someone that works here, a transaction coordinator, for, signing contracts and, connecting it to the dispo, right? I would have a TC on, or sorry, not a TC, I would have a VA on dispo, right? So once the deal gets accepted and it's contracted, sent over to dispo, he or she dispos the deal to the buyers. Cool. Buyer signs, and then all of that gets given to the TC, right? And then the TC gives it to the title company. That's how I'd structure it. So maybe like 1, 3, dispo, TC. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then, I mean, dude, you'll check in. You obviously check in, but like, there are going to be times where, you might have to get on a call or whatever. But that's a business, so.
Right. Okay, cool. So in terms of, and so let's say, you go through these 30 days, I get, 1 or 2 that come through in the end, and then I continue to do this. So how long did you do this on your own before you started scaling it?
8 months. Yeah. So, well, I mean, that actually, yeah, I started completely like zero real estate knowledge, absolutely nothing 8 months ago. And then, but dude, I'll tell you right now, like I said, I'm extremely transparent. There is no reason why you cannot scale this to 100K plus a month. Like, absolutely no reason. Honestly, like I would talk, like you can probably tell by now, I don't bullshit. I'm very straight.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even say I would be disappointed, but it's like, dude, if I'm, training, because I consider you guys students as well. It's like, dude, I'm telling you right now, there's no reason why you can't bring this to 100K a month plus. Like, yeah, so you got it, bro, for sure.
Damn. Okay, cool. So I love this plan. Another great asset for like myself is my wife. She works from home, and so she has a lot of time where she could work on like these leads. Like if I'm working, she can be working on things throughout the day. So I think together, at least in the beginning, it'll be nice. I can walk through all this stuff with her. What do you feel the role for a prop stream is in this? Nothing right now, or just like checking the?
So it's entirely dependent on the criteria, right? If you're doing creative deals, you're going to need prop stream because you're going to need to look at mortgages and whatnot. If you're doing cash deals and you don't need to look at mortgages, really nothing. Like I said, yeah, entirely not curriculum, criteria dependent. What I will say too is for your wife, dude, perfect role would be essentially just like tying everything up until you hire on. So, as leads, as you're calling or whatever, you have buyer's agents coming in. Essentially, if you're doing the acquisitions end, whether that be just, taking calls or using buyer's agents or whatever, I would have your wife essentially do transaction coordination for now. I think that would be perfect.
So then she would take it once we generate. So connecting them once they're comfortable with the deal to the transaction coordinator.
Yes.
Or being the transaction
her
coordinator.
Being the transaction coordinator. In the traditional role of a transactions coordinator is really just working with the title company. I like to look at transaction coordinator as literally coordinating the entire thing. So the role that I would kind of have for your wife would be just, let's just say as soon as you get a deal and you get it under contract, then you can have your wife get on the phone with the buyer, talk about the deal. Because I would tell you that as well. Not enough people, everyone builds rapport with agents. No one talks about building rapport with buyers, with lenders, with title companies. And I cannot stress this enough. If this is the only thing you take from this, if you can build rapport with every party that's involved, you can literally run a multi-6-figure a month business with 5 people. Like, you can do the same deals with the same people with the same team. And on top of that, when shit hits the fan, you don't have to worry about communicating with someone through email that you've never met. You get on the phone and you guys are best friends and you're like, let's do this. How can we make it done? And oftentimes when it comes to someone having to bend a little bit or whatever, it's a difference between a deal or not. So with that being said,
that's huge.
Yeah, with that being said, as soon as it's contracted, then maybe your wife could handle, sending it over to the buyers, taking on the buyer calls, talking about the deal, and bring it together, and also doing the title work, right? So as soon as it's together and every party's involved, cool, documents are signed, title work. And then from there, once your wife gets a little bit overwhelmed, or I wouldn't wait until she gets overwhelmed, I'd wait until you get maybe to 80% capacity. Then, dude, have your wife hire on a VA, and maybe start with the VA of handling just the title work, just the emails, talking to buyers. That's when you scale.
How could I, together with her, learn about what was required for the title work?
As for dude, I wish I could just give you my curriculum for free. As for the title work, dude, let me think. What's the best way I want to explain it here.
Sorry, before you say that, real quick question. Are we until 5 or till 4:30? I can't remember.
No, yeah, we're till 5. For some reason, the Zooms only go 30. So what we'll do is as soon as this one ends, we'll just start another one. Because I don't know, it doesn't integrate my Zoom
same
account.
Link? You just click the same link again?
Yeah, I'll restart the same Zoom. Exactly.
Oh, okay, cool.
So what we'll do is, so titles. This is exactly what you need to know, right? As for the contracts, there's going to be, let me pull up Paint here. We're gonna
You have your own curriculum, is what you're saying.
I do, yeah, because we're launching a mentorship in July. Me and my partner, dude. That's gonna be. I could go on for hours about that. I will say this: there are some bumps in the road, so I don't know exactly how it's gonna pan out.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, regardless, like I'm doing something. But that's another thing about business in general, dude. I'll tell you right now, nobody talks about like the actual, like the mental battle of it, where it's just like there's so many things you have to think about and relationships, and that sucks, dude. Like that is probably the worst part. So you're going to, let's talk contracts first, and then we'll talk about how we could coordinate that with title. So you have your purchase and sale agreement, PSA. That's between, so we got your PSA. That's between your seller and you, binding agreement, right? So A to B. Okay. Then you have your assignment agreement. Why is it not letting me type again? Here, we'll do this. Assignment agreement or double close PSA. So these are between you and buyer. So the assignment agreement looks more of like we are assigning the rights to purchase X property for this price, or some assignment agreements say for this assignment fee. I'd rather use the ones with the price so that they can't see the assignment fee, because not being like from a secretive perspective, but dude, there are some people that are just like, they just pocket watch and they're just like, they just don't want to see you win, dude. Sometimes like you'll have a really good assignment and they're mad that you're making that much money. It's just yeah, that's why I like double close as well. And then so assignment agreement is, I just explained it. And then a double close PSA would be similar to how you have a literal purchase and sale agreement with the seller and you. You write up another purchase and sale agreement with you and the buyer, because there are actually two real estate transactions happen. And then as for coordinating with title, it's going to go, so let's say found, we're going to do like a little workflow. Lead found. Let's say you close the deal on the phone. Cool. You send to buyer. Buyer likes it. Buyer sends an inspector or himself to walk the property, right, during the inspection period. Now, the way that we do it, I know you've heard wholesaling is where it's like you submit earnest money deposit as soon as you're under contract. I don't do it that way. The way that I do it and the way I teach it is you actually submit earnest money deposit after inspection for two reasons. Number one, if the inspection goes bad and you have your EMD submitted, you're going to get it back, but you have to wait like 2 weeks. And if you're doing, let's just say 10 deals a month, even if they're $500 EMD each, you have $5,000 of tied up capital for no reason. And the second thing is, if we're doing an assignment agreement, I have the buyer actually submit EMD for me. So the way that'll work is, let's just say you have, so let's say assignment is A to B, so seller and Nick. When you assign it, it's just Nick gets replaced with buyer and it's still A to B, right? The reason I explain it that way is because look, if then the buyer submits EMD, so it's 500, cool. They submit it for you, right? Because they are now the new buyer. So you actually wait until you have it. I usually put in the contracts where it's like, let's say $500 EMD, $500 EMD due post inspection. If we like it, we submit EMD. If we don't, we don't. I don't want to wait for my money. So going back to the flow chart, buyer walks. If they like it, they submit EMD. That way, and also that way you don't have to come out of pocket for EMD. And this part, right after buyer walks and they like it, that's when the title process starts. Because as soon as they say, yes, I like it, you contact the title company. Hey, we're looking to close a deal through you guys. And I'll give you some title companies to work with as well. Looking to close a deal through you guys. It's going to be an assignment of contract, or it's going to be a double close. What's a good email to reach you guys at? I want to send you over everything we have. They tell you an email. You send them all the docs that you have, and then you say, we need to submit EMD today. What is your wiring instructions? Or what are your wiring instructions? Then they'll send you the wiring instructions. You send them to the buyer. Buyer submits EMD. Cool, that's a check mark. Then from there, title is really going to coordinate everything that needs to happen, right? And what'd you say?
Yeah, I expected it to be a lot more process intensive. So we're just doing another coordination, saying I want this, and then they take care of it.
Exactly. And then it's all dependent on, if you're doing, let's just say you're selling to a buyer and they're getting a loan, okay, then you just have to, you work with their lender and you talk to the seller and you set a time for their appraiser to go walk to get an appraisal. It's all dependent on the deal. But the best way I can explain it, just so you don't get overwhelmed, is you just do what the next step has to be, and you'll be told what the next step has to be by either the buyer or the title company or the lender, depending on your deal. You just do exactly what they ask you to do, and then to finish the flow chart, submit EMD. If it's an appraisal, you do an appraisal, whatever. Once EMD is submitted, title work happens, right? So they're going to do their title search, look for liens, whatever they do. If everything comes back good, let's say the appraisal comes back good and you guys are moving forward,
And so then close day happens. Where does the money come and go? So at that point, the buyer's just doing everything, and then I guess I'm confused what happens there.
Yeah. So the close day, right? They have the purchase and sale agreement on the front end. So the seller gets their money. They have your assignment agreement that shows Nick assigns to Joe, the buyer. That way, you know, your name is in the deal. Nick gets this amount. Or if you're assigning, if you're doing a double close, guess what you have? You have a PSA between you and the buyer, right? Because second transaction. And then they just take the docs and they say, okay, this guy gets this. Cool. Boom, boom, boom. This guy gets this. Boom, 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 boom. And everyone gets dispersed that way.
So it's the title company that will ultimately send you the money?
Yeah. So all the money is held in escrow, in an escrow account at the title company. They collect all the funds and they disperse it.
Totally. This is like jumping ahead. Do you do all this within your own LLC? How do you protect all this?
Yeah, so I have my LLC. It's a very simple structure. It's just my subsidiary, which is the operating LLC, which is in New York, and then a holding company, which is in Wyoming. And the reason why my holding company is in Wyoming is for privatization, tax benefits. It's a corporate haven, right? So, and I'm sure you know a little bit about that. But yeah, essentially all of the benefits of having a Wyoming LLC are transferred onto my subsidiary because it owns it, right? But yeah, essentially I'm doing all this through my LLC. So yeah, essentially I'm doing this all through my own LLC. And then you don't really, I'll tell you, in general, you know, I'm not going to sit here and give you like legal advice, but in general, there's no liability in wholesaling, really. I mean, there's not. Worst case scenario, you say, hey, we can't move forward. You sign a cancellation agreement.
What sort of taxes do you pay? Is it on your personal tax brackets, like a pass-through LLC? I'll
tell you as much as I do know, because that's a CPA field. But no, it's going to come through. So this is the way it's going to work, right? And I'm gonna put you on game a little bit here. This is a cool strategy. So I have and then this is going to answer your question, but I have a personal bank account, obviously, and then I'll have my business bank account for the subsidiary in New York. Then I'll have a business bank account for my holding company. Do I need both? No. The reason I have both is deal closes, let's say 10K deal. Cool. 10K hits my business bank account, my subsidiary, my operating one, the one that I'm doing everything with. Then I funnel that money into the holding company, right? And what that shows when I want to go apply for like business credit to go get 0% APR business credit if I want to do like a flip or whatever, I can actually, let's just say that I get approved for 50,000 business credit. By me funneling money through the subsidiary and the holding, both businesses in the financial institution's eyes is that they're making money. So not only can I get 50K credit for the subsidiary, but because I'm funneling money through both and business is booming in both, I get double credit. But yeah, as for from the tax standpoint, I believe you're still gonna pay personal, but the tax benefits of having an LLC, you're virtually paying nothing, right? Because let's just say you make 500K that year, or let's say you make $1 million that year and you're in the top tax bracket, and then you have $900,000 of write-offs, or let's say you bought properties, whatever, and then you only get taxed on 100 grand, you're now in the lower tax bracket, so you get taxed less percentage. And it's actually a strategy and then also like if you have benefits that bring you all the way down to paying zero taxes and there's still more, that rolls into next year. Right?
Oh shit! Wow.
And so I'm gonna give you a cool thing that we're doing is that in Q1 we're gonna launch like a syndication model where, and this is really cool. So let's say the mentorship goes well and we're making earned income from the mentorship, making income from wholesale, whatever. Let's say we're making $1 million every year. We also have a syndication where investors are investing their funds or raising capital. We're using their money to then buy property. What a property gives you tax benefits, and we're gonna automate that. So the cool thing about that is our syndication might be automatically buying 50 properties a month, and we're bringing in money. So we have a machine that brings in money, and we have a machine that prints tax benefits. So every dollar that comes in, every dollar is written off, and it's just a no tax machine working simultaneously.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
As for the tax question, that's I'm not a tax professional.
Yeah.
I believe it's
no, that's good. All right. Well, yeah, this has all been super helpful. How do you keep track of all of this? So, can I share my screen?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, let me show you what okay, it's being weird anyway. I'll describe to you what I have. So I just essentially created like an Excel spreadsheet. So how when you're talking to all these buyers and agents and stuff, I imagine you want to keep track of everything, their name, how to contact them, all their stuff. And so you just kind of like start putting them all together. Maybe, does it matter what state they're in? I mean, I guess, are buyers looking for places in their own state, or they don't really care?
It all depends, right? So, by the way, I think here, you definitely can share your screen. I want to take a look at your Excel sheet, see how you have it structured. But what I will say is, I'm gonna hook you up. From the I'll let you, once you share your screen, and then we'll go into it.
Yeah, no worries. I think I'm using my wife's computer, and I don't know her password. It's okay.
So, from an acquisition standpoint, if you're acquisitions, I would use SalesMate, 1000%. So I'm gonna show you what SalesMate looks like. This was like my old creative pipeline, right? When I was doing a lot of creative. live. So you could set up your pipeline however you want, but like packaged and ready for call, not responded, responded cold, responded warm, offer sent, offer declined, offer accepted. And then the cool thing about SalesMate is, let's just say I click this one. This is Kurt when he used to do lead gen for me. Package it up. So I would click it. Okay, this is what I need to know. All right, hop on the phone. You have your number. You can call through the app. You can call through the browser, or if you have the SalesMate app on your phone, if you click call via phone, it comes up on your phone and it rings and you can talk to your phone. You can send text through here. The coolest thing is you can set activities, right? So you see follow up too. You can set activities with dates. So that way, okay, let's say they don't answer. Cool. You log your call. Also, you can record your calls. All your calls can be recorded. You log your call. You set an activity. Follow up in 1 week. Click, boom. Forget about it. And then what you do is every day you hop in and you check your activities, and this will say all of the tasks that you need to do. Hey, you have 10 follow-ups today from last week.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then here's your deals. And then you can have multiple people in SalesMate, right? So let's just say you have your transactional coordinator in your SalesMate. You see all these different pipelines?
Yeah.
So Shell, Denise, and let's just say you get a property under contract. Cool, they accepted it, signed. Or let's just say they accept the offer and you need to send it to your TC or your wife, and you need it signed. Cool. You just boom. I'll show you. You could drag and drop into their pipeline, dude. Yeah, 100% SalesMate for acquisitions. Free alternative as well. Airtable is pretty good. It can't do nearly as much as this. I'll show you Airtable.
I've checked it out. Yeah, it's a little bit clunky. It doesn't look as nice as the other one.
Yeah. So this was like when I first started my old SalesMate, right? You do statuses, notes, first contact, last contact, follow up, asking price, and all that stuff. You could build it out. As for transaction coordination, dude, Smart Suite, so good. I got to show you. So these are some of our Section 8 deals that we're working on. So you can have your title checklist. So I set it up with a checklist where, right, and it shows a percentage bar of what you got scheduled. This is perfect for transaction coordination. All your docs, right? So let's just say this is one of the deals we closed on Monday, right? So I have a HUD statements in here, but you have every single doc that you need. You want to see a good deal? This is one we closed this one, and
holy shit,
quick little assignment, right? And then this one closed at the same day, which was, dude, oh my gosh, this title company killed us with fees. It was a 15K assignment, and look how much we ended up netting. Wait, where is it? Hold on. It was a 15K. We only netted 11.8.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But anyway, so those we closed in the same day. But we have assignments. Then you can set dates with inspection, right? So it shows how many days are left, and when you complete it, you have to check. Close is the same thing. I have to update these, but close dates. So you have your days, so you can keep track of that. This is my idea. I like to add this is priority action needed. What is the next thing that you have to do for this deal, and who's on the job? There you go. And then you also have like a conversation space in here. So TC this, and then acquisitions, SalesMate, 100%.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. Wow, amazing. Okay, so I've got 5 minutes left. So you gave me game plan. I know that I'm imagining you're doing like one-on-ones all day and you're super busy and stuff. So if I run into an issue, what's the best way to go about? Can I contact you? How does that look like? Do I just have to book another session? Like, what do your students do when they have issues?
Yeah, so usually, like I said, I mean, now I kind of just pop into all mine wholesale, but I'm like, usual me would say text, but I'm getting texted like 75 times a day. I wouldn't mind, genuinely. I feel that I cannot help you in the best way if that's the case, because I would have to put my phone down. You wouldn't get to help you. So honestly, dude, I would say here, I'll give you my number. And I mean, obviously one-on-ones, you have me for time. That would probably be best. But I'll text you my number as well. But like I said, I'm giving you the, before, just so you know.
Yeah. You're just inundated. I can't imagine. See, I booked a one-on-one with, what was his name? Thomas
Allen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super nice. It was great. But the same thing happened. I think you guys are all doing like so much every day that you can't imagine that it'd be easy to get back to people. So he gave me his number and I had a couple questions, which is fine. And I imagine he's just so busy. So I can't imagine what it's like for you guys.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. And dude, at first, like when I started and people gave me the busy excuse, I was like, you're not. But dude, when you telling you, right? When you, dude, it's nuts. And I think honestly, I have pretty good time management, but also one thing is like, I don't only do wholesale, other companies as well that I'm running. Definitely the number live. I mean, I don't know, like I said, I pop in here and there. I don't have a set live stream schedule.
So I'm going to give this a shot and, give it, a month and see what happens. And then I'll let you know and update you along the way. So I imagine after you walk through both contracts and titles, it does sound more manageable to do. I'm guessing like maybe the first time or two though, I might just do a transaction coordinator. I feel like just learning the process is a lot. Final thing I have for you is I know I'm never never going to learn, what to do and quite what to say on the phone every time rather than just doing it. Is that just what you got to do? You just have to get on the phone, you got to talk to them, and then you learn how to build rapport with them just by doing it over and over again?
1000%. And the reason being is there is absolutely no way, and I'll tell you, I take pride, I think I could teach decently well. There's no way I can teach you exactly what to say every time. So, but what I will say is this, I'm telling you, like, now I'm at the point where, like, not from an egotistical perspective by any means, but it's like there's really nothing that they could say that I don't have an answer for, questions or whatever, just because I've just been doing it for so long, and I've been in so many situations. You know what I'm saying? Dude, I could tell you stories you'd be thinking I've been doing this for 5 years. Like, there was a time where I had a sub-2 deal. The agent sent the contract to the wrong email, and someone signed and took the deal. Like, just stuff like that. Like, so I've been through it all, but I think just experience, you're gonna get to a point where, like, I remember when I first started and I was like watching Richard, I was like, damn, like, he has an answer for everything. I want to get to that point. And dude, you'll be there in like a month, maybe, like that. Like, it's not that bad.
Really? Wow. Okay, I would think it would take a lot longer. Can you just like hire people who are good at this?
You can, but also what happens if, like, this is the thing, I think that you definitely need to know, like, I always say hire people that are better at it than you, but you need to know the game, because what happens when they don't know what to do? You know what I'm saying? So I can confidently say, like, now me scaling is, I can confidently say, if my acquisitions guys have a problem, get me on the phone, right? But if you're hiring someone where you yourself don't know what you're doing, and then, maybe they're just like the base level, and by the way, you wouldn't know if they're only base level because you don't know what it could be, right?
Yeah,
I would definitely learn the game first and then hire on.
So I was watching one of your YouTube videos last night, and I was taking notes about your entry offers versus your max offers and something like seller finance. So I would probably still be using this even once I figure out what my buyers want. So they tell me they're kind of their buy box, and then I still use these kind of strategic methods, like the entry offer is just giving them the offer price, and then the max offer is like 30 above that.
Yeah, so that's all just leverage, and that's negotiation, right? You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot giving them a max offer.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then down, you would start at 5% and go up to 10 down payment?
Yeah, 5 to 7 and then go to 10 if you need to.
And then interest, you would say 0 and then max 5.
So I wouldn't say 0 at all. I just wouldn't mention interest.
Okay, yeah, don't mention. Okay. And then balloon, you would just not mention it, but you could do a 7-year as like the maximum.
Yeah, the only time I might drop to 5 is if you're ballooning out only like 100 grand or less.
And then you want your buyer's cash flow. Well, I guess they'll probably tell you. You'd mentioned in your video, like maybe like the entry is when you're allowing for 600 a month for your buyer and cash flow, and then the max is like 300 a month.
Yeah, it's all just not the whole theme of it is just not giving them max offer it.
All right. Oh God, super helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna try this, and then I'm gonna check in with you, at some point and let you know how it's going. And then when I'm ready to move to the next step, like hire people or scale, then I'll definitely we'll chat again. And
no, we had a great session, dude. The last, like, because now I'm doing like the hour, but I'm telling you, every person that has come in for an hour so far, like, great stuff. So like the content's gonna be great, definitely a lot of stuff that people can learn. But yeah, dude, we're just gonna get to scaling. So if you need anything, you have my number. And
you're the best. I've got good vibes. I feel like this is finally connected with someone who I appreciate everything you do, and I think it's gonna be awesome. And I know we'll talk again here in the near future.
For sure, dude. If you need anything, you got me, dude.
All right, Jake. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.